Chini kanahila hela makia chanite anata anatia enekuana kat kena magu sala kichini kuana. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Deep Shift. My name is Karen Jones.
Shay here.
Yes, and we are here. We are the Deep Shift ladies, and things are getting deeper and deeper. Yes, it is a time of great growth, and today's message, in fact, is based on that growth. Because when we think of our shadow side, we don't necessarily think of it as being a possibility of growth. We think of it as something negative, something that you can't move through, that that you're possessed in some way. But that is not true, right, Shay?
Absolutely. No, we are all moving through this stuff. And when you can start shifting that perception of trials and tribulations, or whatever you want to call it, the hard things that we go through, when you can start looking at it as growth, just like you just said, it changes the way you see things. It changes the way you see the world. So absolutely. Yeah.
And this is the time to take a look at your shadow side. Take a look at those few things that are still seem to be blocking your path, seem to be blocking your growth, as it were. Because this is the time to do it. There's so much light coming into our planet, be it through solar flares, be it through solar flashes, be it through cosmic light that is coming into the planet. There's the opportunity to really say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm ready to change this. I don't want to be this anymore. I don't want to choose this anymore. I don't want to feel like I don't have choice. I want to feel like I'm as infinite as they tell me I am, right? To really know that you don't have to choose what's making you miserable. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, what do you mean? I'm not choosing to be miserable.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. And that's what I was going to just point out. So oftentimes when I'm talking to people, I'll say something like, this is a choice. And they're like, no, I wouldn't choose to be miserable like this. But they don't understand from a higher perspective. They've chosen this particular event or situation in their life to grow from. So it is a choice, but not on a conscious level. So what we're doing is we're trying to make conscious what is unconscious to help people grow and move forward.
Exactly. So I had someone say to me, so what exactly does that mean? What is the shadow side? The shadow side, it's usually what you feel, where you feel blocked the most, where you feel stuck. If you feel like you're repeating the same pattern over and over and over and you can't get out of it, it's like some habitual thing that you have been trying to break the pattern of, and it just seems that it's impossible. For some, it's addictions. For some, it's depression. For some, it's anxiety. For some, it's wanting to create something greater with your life, but being fearful. Fear can be a very large shadow side. I think that humanity actually has fear as its a collective shadow side that we all have to move past. So yeah, there are many ways to do this. There are many opportunities to release. Finally, I know many of you are like, come on, I've been trying this for years, and why should now be any different? Well, because we're in the deep shift. Because we're in a moment.
And like you were saying earlier, the light is coming in, and the light that's coming in is forcing the shadow up. So it's forcing all of us to really look at the triggers that we have, the things that that are blocking. And I want to share a session story, because this is what I like to do in our conversations. So yeah, I had a session just last week, actually. It was pretty dang amazing. And the young man that came in has been having issues with relationships. And he seems to always attract the same women. And he just doesn't understand, or didn't understand why. So that was a block, where is this coming from? And so when we were able to go in and look to see what happened, he actually had a dark energy attached to him. But the dark energy, this was a planned birth event, that this attachment would come in with him, because they had the same things that they need to work through. So the attachment was with him, to help each other actually work through, and it happened to be relationships. So the attachment that was with him had lost his life in a previous life, native life back in like the Hawaiian Islands or somewhere like that. And he had gone out to sea, and then he lost his life out there. And then he was just floating around, and he was on his way to the light, and he got distracted by a butterfly. So he followed the butterfly to a meadow, and then he hooked up with my client. And so then my client had these feelings like early on in years, like 5, 6, 7, 8, like he was missing someone, and he didn't know where these feelings were coming from. And so those feelings were surfacing in his relationships, always, all the time. Come to find out, this attachment had a lot of resentment, because when he had gone out and lost his life, he was resentful to the woman that he was with in that lifetime. So that was playing out in my client as well, because they had the same thing, the same patterns from previous lifetimes that they had to clear up. So they joined together to come into this life to clear up the resentment, to clear up the fear, to clear up the anger. So when we were able to do that with the attachment and send it away and send all that energy away, now he understands his learning in the process. And so when we connect to the higher self gave him the information that going forward, he needs to pick the women that he wants, instead of very handsome young man, right? But the women always pick him. But the women picked him because he had those lessons to learn, those shadows to work through, right? So now he's worked through that. Now he can go out there, and they said he can find the woman that he wants, and that he's learned those lessons. So the relationships are going to be different going forward. So it took a while, though, to work through those shadows of why these relationships keep recurring. But now he can move forward because he's worked on the shadow. Yes. And he's worked on getting rid of those. And those shadows play such a huge role in our lives. It's like the things that you're triggered by, like you were saying earlier, blocks, and, you can't seem to move forward. You don't ever have any money. And it's like, you're always broke, your car always breaks down. I mean, right. Simple things like that. Right. Those are things, whatever is coming up in your life that you're being triggered by, or you're being forced to really look at, those are where the shadow exists. Right. And the shadow could be many things.
Yeah, it can be many things. It's like the one that pops into mind is anger. They have like people who have anger issues. They have to go through anger management classes because their anger is so volatile and so intense that they can't get a grasp on reality because they're constantly being triggered. So that is definitely something that is a shadow side. What is triggering your anger? Why are you holding on to your anger? And what would it take for you to let go of your anger so that your body, just think of what that does to your body, what it does to your person, these shadow parts of yourself that you have not confronted, that you just say, oh, well, this is normal. If you grow up with anger, is it ancestral? Is this shadow side something that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation? And is it now up to you to stop it, to stop the pattern and liberate your family? Yeah.
And that's what, a great point that you make there, because so many of my clients have made agreements with the ancestors to come into this lifetime to clear up all that generational trauma from years ago when they were the Vikings. And as we all know, time doesn't exist only here. On the other side, it's all happening simultaneously. But here we see it as past, present, future, whatever. But let's say you were a Viking in a previous life, and you went out and you did a lot of, raping and plundering, and, you're carrying trauma from that, whether you were the one doing the raping or whether you were the one receiving. There's still trauma there, and that shadow, they're both shadow. And we've all been on both sides. So not
Correct.
to put ourselves in this saintly position.
Exactly. Don't go into your righteousness mode because you have done it all. You
Yeah.
have done it all. That's why you came here to experience that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're clearing up that trauma from our past lives. And I don't know if I've shared this before, but my family has a skin disease. And the skin disease, when we did some channeling, I think I did it through, I'm not sure if we did it when we channeled or another channeler, but I found out that this was a curse placed on my family way back, many, many, many generations ago, because of all the bloodshed and the cursing. But this is the lifetime where all of those get cleared up, all of the programming, all of the curses that have been placed on us, all of the vows and the things that we said that we're going to do. Now is the time to break all of that. So
Yeah,
it's
and not only
clearing.
that, there are times when you agreed to a certain difficulty because you knew that it was going to create the greatest growth for you. And though, you would look at someone's path and go, oh my God, why on earth would you choose that? Like, why would someone choose to be in a fire when they're 6 years old and be completely, uh, what's the word?
He figured or something. Yeah.
Yes, disfigured, right. Why would someone choose that? Well, there's a certain experience that you have that you would never have if you lived, quote unquote, the perfect normal life. That life is will probably get you, like, I don't know, 20 25 million points. I don't know. It's not a point system, but
If we're on a point system, right?
horrible to think of something in that way. But no, in terms of the growth and the amount of love that you feel for people who take care of you, and they too, in taking care of you, they are experiencing what it is to look upon someone who is not beautiful, who is not perfect, but is a beautiful soul and has a beautiful heart, and recognizing the beauty of each and every human being is not based on what society says it's supposed to be based on, but it goes far deeper, it goes richer. Like, why would someone choose to have um, mm, to be mentally challenged? Why would someone choose to be autistic? Why would someone choose? Yeah, these are all the newer versions of what's been coming through ADHD and all the different letters that have been rolling around of these newer generations. The freedom of sexual identity. All of this is all part of that. But you also have to realize that we have been under a lot of control by a darker energy, and that energy is dissipating. Okay, everybody heard that, right? This is part of the deep shift, is that energy that has been trying to control and bring us in more into the shadow is leaving. It is losing power because the light is too strong. So that is why we are here to remind you, this is the time to
Right.
clear your stuff. I want to say another word.
Yeah. And I want to point out too, like, because this is that time for clearing right now, so many people think it is so dark out there and they're losing hope, and they think that the world is just going to destruction. They think that the what the revelations, what it talks about, the end times that are in there, is that's where we're headed. And honestly, we are on a different timeline. We're not going to have to go through all of that because we're light workers. We came here to bring the light into the planet so we didn't have to go on that timeline. Now, there are some who have chosen that timeline, who will follow that timeline. But for us light workers, it looks really dark. What do they say? It looks darkest right before the dawn, right?
There you go.
That is right where we are right now. So don't lose hope. Stay positive, stay in your joy, and no, work on your shadow work, because every time that you work on your shadow work, you are healing for the collective.
Yes.
And I use the Ho'oponopono a lot. The I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So when I go on to land somewhere, and if I feel really heavy energy around, then I will just say that Ho'oponopono over and over and over. And really what that is this very powerful prayer, and it will clear the land. You walk into a room and you feel that heavy, dense energy. speak those words. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. You'll clean it. You have tools that you help clean when you walk into an environment in an area as well in your access bars. So
Right, right. Access consciousness has its
that's
technique. And then, QHHT,
QHHT. Uh-huh.
yeah, that's Shay's specialty, plus other other certificates
Right.
that she has founding, to clear this energy. So you can contact Shay, you can contact myself if you feel that you keep running into a wall. You know that you can clear it. You can contact either of us and book a session and clear your shadow. Clear your shadow. Do the shadow work. Trust me. Now is the time. Now is the time. And what does it take? It takes you being willing to receive information, right? It's like you have to be willing to move your ego out of the way and say, okay, so what's really going on? And for me, I'd like to look at it this way. It's like you're living your film, right? You're living your movie. You're living your painting. You need to step outside of your painting. You need to step outside of your movie, and you need to look at it as an observer, not someone that's living it, because oftentimes when you're living it, you can't see it. So getting the perspective often happens when you can step outside of it, and your higher self will more than likely help you to do that. Then they'll put you back in it, and then they'll make you look at it from there, and they'll put you back in, and then they'll look. So you constantly are getting a perspective that puts you in the position of non-judgment. Because when you go into judgment, you are narrowing your focus to right and wrong. And when there's right and wrong, you can't see anymore. All you see is, well, I'm right and you're wrong, or vice versa, right? And is it always that clean cut? It isn't always that clean cut. You want to get rid of your what's the word? Your decision, your judgment, your conclusion about what this has to be. Because once you can do that, then you can grow. Then you can see something else. Because what happens is, in Access, they say you put on blinders, and you can't see anything but that judgment or that decision. And the universe is trying to, hey, excuse me, we want to show you something else, and you're still like, oh no, but this is the only way. And we all know what fixed points of view or fixed ideas have done in the history of humankind.
Yes, and we're breaking out of those
Yes.
fixed points and those boxes that we've been put in for so long. So, and you made a point earlier, and I just want to comment on that, because people who are living lives where they maybe have different disabilities or adverse things that they have to work through, sometimes when a client comes in with those adversities and they're learning those lessons, they're also like clearing for the ancestors, they're clearing for their own trauma, they're balancing karma in some ways. I had a client, it was an amazing session. In a previous life, he was a physician, a surgeon, and he did marvelous surgery. He invented this amazing machine, and he had such a big ego, and he was so caught up in his ego that he was so much better than everybody else. And he treated people around him like dirt. His girlfriend, he treated him like dirt. He ended up getting killed in a car wreck in that lifetime. So in this lifetime, to compensate for that ego, so he wouldn't get caught up in the ego again, he came in, his arm was like half of the length what it should be. So he was disfigured, but he planned that pre-life planning to come in so he wouldn't get caught up in the ego, so that he could learn the lessons that he came here to learn. Because the last time he had lessons to learn there, but he didn't learn them because he was this beautiful man, and he was smart and intelligent. And then that ego got carried away in that. So he didn't learn the lessons. So he came back again. This time, he's got all of the attributes of the other one, the other lifetime, except for this time, he has that one adversity that, he has to work with. But he's a beautiful soul, and he's not letting it get to him. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that are asking, why me? Why did I have to put up with that? Why do I have this happening in my life? Why? And when we can stop asking why and look at it, like you say, as the observer, and look at what am I learning from this?
Yes.
And then it's going to help you get through that and clear those shadows.
Yes. What do I have to let go of? What do I need to release? What am I holding on to? I love this question. What am I holding on to with such intensity that I'd rather be right than be free? And
Mhm.
that's more than likely your shadow side, because you believe that that you are righteous in your point of view. I know, when I was talking about this the other day with my partner. It always makes me think of the film with Susan Sarandon where she plays the nun that is working with the guy on death row who was Sean Penn, and he had done some atrocity. I don't know how he had killed several people, and she was working very hard in her faith to forgive. And you think about some of the criminals or the people who have done the worst possible things to another human, and you want to hate them, you want to put them away, you want them to suffer. And in the meantime, let's say they've been caught, they're in prison, they're dealing with their own demons, they're dealing with their own shadow sides. And the interesting thing about that is they are on their path and you are on your path. And how you acknowledge or how you look at these people who are literally moving through a very interesting choice, a choice of being the let's say the scum of the earth. People calling them the scum of the earth, people calling them awful human beings. um, they had to have to experience that. But what are you experiencing as a person who looks at them? I know that there's a strong movement around the pedophilia that is existing on our planet that no one seems to talk nearly enough about. And I look at that, and I feel such anger towards these people. And then I have to look at it, I have to step outside and say, okay, so what is really going on here? What do we as humanity have to learn? What are we not acknowledging as this collective of humans that is allowing that to occur?
Right.
And what
And,
can we
and
do to change it, right?
yeah, and we need to ask ourselves, what can I do about this without judgment, though? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? What
right.
can I do to make this better? What can I do to move through this without judgment? And when you
Yes.
can step back and look at those situations and you understand that that is their path and their journey, then we can look at it with non-judgment. But as a collective, we have given away our freedom and our sovereignty. And so all of these things that are happening in the world right now is here to wake us up, to take our power back, because we've allowed these things to happen. And it's just, I tell everybody, everything happens for a reason. And since I was about 16, that's kind of always been my motto. So there's always been a reason for everything that happens. But sometimes you have to really look hard to find out what that reason is,
Yes.
because yeah, I was listening to a talk on the pedophilia the other day, someone who used to be in the crime. And I mean, I'm just feeling sick inside of what I am hearing, that they could actually do these atrocities to people. I'm like, where are the heart of these people? So there's a lot of judgment coming up. And then I have to step back and I have to look at it. This is their journey. What do I need to learn from this? Because it's about me. It's not about them. They're playing that role for me to learn something, be more compassionate,
Right.
you
And
know,
a lot of pedophiles, unfortunately, were abused as children.
yeah.
And there's something that goes awry in their brains when they become adults. That wasn't because it was a lot of pedophilia is pushed under the carpet. It is not talked about. It is not released. It is not looked at. So what does it become? It becomes a big shadow,
Yeah.
and that shadow side needs to be healed. It needs to release the all of the energy that comes up around what that is, right? And
Yes.
sometimes you can't even put it in words.
Yeah. And I want to say, in my sessions, my clients, Because of the background that I had growing up in Utah Mormon, I don't want to say everything's roses because, it was probably like anybody else, but I was shocked when I started this work to see how much sexual abuse really happens in the world. And it's a lot more prevalent than we thought. And so a lot of people are carrying that trauma. A lot of people don't even know that they have that trauma. It's just part of their, what they need to clear, the shadow that's surfacing. And I know I have a community here in Las Vegas, and once a month we do a shadow workshop where we bring everybody in, and then everybody kind of works on their shadow. And there are other things out there. Go to Meetup and find a shadow workshop somewhere in your area. And if you need help doing that, or you find someone like Karen or myself or others who do this kind of work, journaling is huge. Get by yourself. This is what I want to do. Take 3 days to go out in the woods and just kind of sit with nature, and just journal and listen to music and just really work on the shadow parts of myself, because I know that they're there, but sometimes they're really hard to get to.
Yeah. And sometimes, you don't want to do that kind of work. It's like, no, I just want to be happy, and guess what? That happy that you're asking for will be so much greater when you can let go of the shadow side, when you can let go of where you get stuck the most, where you feel out of control, or you have no control, where you feel that no one is listening to you. These are all parts of not allowing your light to shine, because your light should be shining. And if you keep running into a wall and you keep running into the same experience, you need to ask some questions, right? Keep asking questions, whether that's through therapy, because regular therapy, psychoanalysis is also going through transformations, because they too, the whole genre of psychoanalysis is shifting and changing too, because everything is changing.
Yeah.
So if that's what works for you, then do that. Go and talk to somebody, but talk to somebody. Don't keep that stuff inside of you anymore. This is the time. The deep shift is upon us. And that shift, it's deep and it's shifting into something so profoundly beautiful. However, you got to go through chaos to get to order, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Darkest before the dawn.
there it is. There it is again. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, do not lose faith. This has been the word that's popped up a lot in the last 3 days of my life. And faith, it's intangible. It's not something, like, especially for those who believe in God. And there are those who don't, who are more interested in the conversation we're having. But there is that intangible that gives life to your thoughts, that gives life to your dreams, that lets you know that you're alive, that you can touch, and you're like, wait, I think I'm alive. I believe I'm here. Yes, you are. And every experience that you have is proof that you are here. But your existence is a contribution to everything and everybody, because we are a reflection of each other. And I really,
Absolutely.
really believe that. We
Yes.
are all of the one, right? There is really no separation. It's just this beautiful illusion. But my God, how many experiences are there? There are layers and layers of vast complexities of experience that we are contributing to the pool of humanity. I'm going off on I digress. I'm taking off here. But faith, hold on to your faith, even when you can't see the end of the finish line, even when you can't necessarily see that your goal is accomplished. Hold on to your faith, and just laugh, right? Just
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to point out is you're talking about those things, because our shadow side is surfacing because we are in the deep shift, but also remember your joy. Do those things that do make you laugh, that make you feel happy. There's a
yeah,
time for working on shadow work, right? We could probably work on shadow work the rest of our lifetime here on this planet, but don't get caught up in just that, because that can be worked on. But in the process of working on that, take time for fun, for
yes,
laughter, for joy.
yes. Get out into nature, take a walk,
Yeah.
sing, dance, put on your favorite music, do the things you love, get some gelato, you know. You don't have to get like, overeat it. Just get a nice big scoop and enjoy it. The pleasures of life, they're there for a reason, and that is the light. Though that is the light saying, hey, we are the light, and how wonderful. It doesn't mean you have to exaggerate. It means you have to tap into the energy of it and be it.
Yes, and just a simple bag of M&Ms, right?
There you go.
Enjoy it. Go buy it, eat it, enjoy it. Don't tell yourself, oh, I shouldn't be eating these things, because then you put the dark energy in it, the shadow energy. Buy the bag of M&Ms, eat them pleasurably, and just enjoy the taste, sense, and yes,
Yes.
do the things that create joy. So
Exactly. And your gratitude. Be grateful for it. Thank you so much for these M&Ms. What a
yeah,
beautiful gift. Thank you for this gelato. Thank you for my friends and their laughter. Thank you for that movie that lifted my spirit,
yeah,
Whatever it is, what makes you, what gets that energy flowing, what gets that light beaming in your eye.
yeah. And we want to give thanks to all those who are out there with us and joining us on this conversation too, because we really appreciate those who are listening. And we know that those who need this information are going to be guided here to hear this conversation. And we encourage everyone to please, leave comments.
And
Karen and I are
hit the
here.
subscribe button, please. We'd love to continually connect with you. And then I believe there's a reminder that will let you know when we've done another podcast. So we greatly appreciate you, all of you. Thank you so much for showing up and for taking the deep shift wave as we are moving through this time. We are a community and we are here for each other. So please send in questions if you have any comments. We love them all.
Thank you all, and we will see you next time.
Listen and stay tuned for the Council of Healers and their message to humanity, which touches our topic today.
Very good.
Now, do you have a specific message for humanity today? I know we've talked about a lot of things that probably is that message, but
yes, indeed, the message to humanity is clear. The parts of you that are frustrated with your boss, frustrated with your children, frustrated with the system, frustrated with the people who are committing suicide, frustrated with the homeless, frustrated with the condition that you see when you look outside of your window, frustrated with the traffic, frustrated with the cost of living, frustrated with the cost of gas, frustrated with the anger that is building inside of you as you press on your horn for the person in front of you that completely blocked you, completely jumped in front of your car and almost killed you, frustrated with the government that promises so much and delivers so little. The depression that overtakes you and you don't understand why you cannot find your happiness. The rage that moves through you that wants to grab a gun and kill somebody. The anger that someone has grabbed a gun and gone into the school of your children. These are the symptoms of the shadow that lurks in you and in the reality you see on your television, that is consistently pushed, that creates fear, that feeds your shadow, that feeds the shadow of humanity, that brings the shadow forward and deters the light. But the light shines bright. Do not believe that the shadow is greater. Do not believe that this propaganda to divide you in race, to divide you in sexual preference, to divide you in your lack of power, for you cannot live through the night without your drugs. You cannot live without calling your doctor to give you more drugs because you cannot survive. This is all part of the division that is being created to divide you, so you do not gather to celebrate your power in your strength as beautiful souls in these in this beautiful human form. You must remember to join with your communities, to lift your spirits, to remind you that you are the light, that the light is pouring in to remind you that you are being shaken to wake up and know that you are the light. You are the light. The dark can never be stronger than the light. The dark is within the light, it is true, but you always have choice. And what will you choose? Will you allow the dark to pull you into that hypnotic trance of power and greed? Will you allow that to be your God? Will you allow that to be your power? Will you allow that to be your strength? Or do you know that there is something so much greater? That there is a higher vibrational frequency that you can tap into that reflects your true essence? That choice brings you so much more. You have all tasted the intoxication of the dark. You all have. Do not be so high and mighty and righteous. We have all had our moments of great weakness. For we are human. But we are human. Yes, this is what you must say. We are human. We are glorious, powerful beings, and we are the light. And when we choose the light, when we allow the light, then we become light beings. And in our light being form, we shine bright. And we have great, great awareness in our knowing of that power, of that potency. So what will you choose this day? Will you choose to help those who cannot see the light, who have been wearing a lens that has kept them in the dark? Will you help them to remove that lens? Will you help them to see? Be the invitation, be the light so that they can see. It is simply a choice. Do not hate those. Do not dislike those who are in the dark. Embrace them in light. And know that they will see eventually. Maybe not, you may not see that they will see, but you must know that they eventually will see. Be willing to have some compassion for your fellow man, but stay on your path and keep the door open so that they know that when they do see, that they have someone that they can turn to. Stay in the gratitude of your heart for all that you are grateful for, and it will continue to expand your heart and to expand the heart of all of humanity as you move through this time of ascension, as you move through this deep shift. There will be very, very deep moments of transition and getting through the night of darkness will be for some your greatest challenge. But know that you are not alone, that you are never alone, that your spirit family is right there with you, that your higher self, your oversoul, whatever you call that greater you, is there with you. Stand tall in your spirit. You are moving through it. You can do it. You've got this. And your spirit family has got you. As does Source, God, Creator, whatever you call that energy, it's there. It's not a lie. It is there. That is all. We love you. You are greatly loved. We love you. Live in peace. Open your heart. Receive the light. Thank you. It has been our pleasure to communicate with you today.
Beautiful, thank you. And it's been our pleasure to be here as well. And we all thank you for that beautiful message today.
Kena magu, sapa, kitchen.